So recently I've been playing Horizon Zero Dawn a lot. I managed to beat it in about 60 hours, and it's a really good game. I love this game. I know a lot of people are comparing it to The Legend of Zelda and saying it's the PS4 Legend of Zelda, and I kind of get that, but it has a lot of qualities in its own right, which I honestly want a lot of people to take a look at and take the time to enjoy it. If anyone's not played it yet because you are playing The Legend of Zelda, don't rush and go and play this game. I'm not going to say it's better or worse. Just take your time with it and enjoy it when you can do, because it is a really fantastic game. The thing that I loved about this game the most, though, has to be the monster design. I really love the monsters in this game. It's very similar to the way you kind of get to know your enemies, and you'll get to learn about what different types of enemies you have in your game, like you're playing a Pokemon style game. I feel like if you were to do a "Who's that Pokemon?" kind of style gimmick or puzzle for this game, I could name every single monster in this game, because they are really memorable and they all act in different and unique ways. And every time you go to approach an enemy, you're thinking about its weaknesses and its strengths and how you're going to be able to beat it. The monsters are really well designed in this game. I think they're very interesting, and they are some of the best robot designs I've seen in a long time. So yeah, Ubisoft did really well with that. In regards to the story, I actually also really enjoyed the story of this game. The story kind of starts off kind of it's well, not but it's kind of expected, I would say. It's kind of predictable in the way you are playing this young girl who has been outcast from her village, and so she wants to know what her heritage is, why she was outcast, and who her family were. And it kind of starts off in that kind of sense, but it really expands into different directions where eventually you're doing things which are completely unrelated to the original task. So much so you're like, yeah, I almost have to remind myself, like, wow, am I not supposed to be on this main quest again? And that's fine. I really managed to enjoy it. To kind of compare it to another game is to say it's a lot like Skyrim, I would say, where you would end up going around in the world and you'll bump into a side quest, and it will just take you on a chain of events which are completely separate from the main quest, and they're actually really enjoyable to do. I don't really want to spoil anything in particular, and you won't see any spoilers in this video, but I want to compare it a lot to a Saturday morning style cartoon, where you know your characters, you know where they're going, you know what their objectives is, but in this episode or this time that you're playing the game, you're doing something different in a different place, and it's actually really enjoyable in that regard. Similarly speaking, it's the setting design. The world of this game is huge, as expected for an open world Ubisoft game, but it all feels like it works well together. And although you've got different locations of different biomes and different setting types, it all looks stunning and fantastic at all times. There's never a moment when I was playing the game I was like, ugh, that looks really bad. This game looks absolutely stunning, and I played this game in 1080i. I can't imagine how amazing this game looks in 4K on a PlayStation 4 Pro, but I can imagine it looks absolutely amazing. There were never really any dips in quality anywhere. Everything just looks very good. The frame rate was smooth, and yeah, though, this game is absolutely stunning. It is one of the best looking games on the PS4, alongside games such as Bloodborne. Speaking of gameplay, similar games, let's talk about the gameplay. The gameplay in this game I also really liked. For the most part in this game, I feel like this game has the best balance between action and RPG, where as soon as a moment's notice where you want to be more technical, you can turn to more RPG style tactics, but if you want to kind of just switch off and play it more like an action game, it flows in between it. You can just do that as you want to as you go along. When I played this game, I mostly tried to play it like a stealth game, where I was sneaking up on monsters and stabbing them in the back in a one-hit kill style fashion. But then eventually you get to bigger monsters where you can't do that anymore, with a lot more health in this game, and therefore you have to be a bit more strategic in other ways, and therefore you have to analyze their weaknesses in terms of their elements, or look at their body parts and decide what parts are you going to rip off in order to fight them easier. And that's another thing that I really liked in this game, where you could see a big enemy, and if they had a particular weapon that was really damaging against you, you could actually break it off the enemy, take it off of them and use it against them in order to fight them a lot easier. And it gives this kind of element of strategy which you don't always need to use, but when you do use it, it's just as satisfying and enjoyable to do. So Horizon Zero Dawn is a really awesome game. There are a few downsides to it. The main downside which I didn't like about this game are the NPCs. I found the NPCs in this game to be very forgettable. If I was to think about it, I feel like all of the men in this game and all of the women were built in the same character maker, but they have different clothes on and a different skin tone, and that's it. Really, they all look the same. All the guys have the same muscular build, all the girls are the same waist size, and everyone kind of just looks unoriginal and quite uninteresting. It really is a bit of a downside for the game, and they are quite forgettable too. Even some of my favourite characters I can't remember the name of. Like, there's a character who's a guard in one of the main cities who he used to drink a lot, and he had a big sister who was the leader of the guard, but then something happened to her. And I don't want to say too much more in order to spoil it, but I can't remember his name for the life of me because he kind of just had a forgetful name. And when you think about games like The Legend of Zelda, I think the characters in this game are a lot more memorable. If I think about something like The Wind Waker, you had Elvis Presley, you had the Bratty Kid, you had the Snotty Nose Kid, you have your sister Arrow, you have Grandma, you have the Bob guy at the shop, you had the pirates, you had the auction lady, you had the teacher. Those characters stand out and are more memorable to me now, even though I haven't played that game in over a decade, as opposed to what was in this game here. And the last complaint I have for this game is inventory management. That was the only thing I didn't enjoy about this game, was having to go into the menu to manage my inventory a lot. You fill up very, very quickly in terms of your resources, and you can't really spend them as fast as you get them. And you kind of are filled with tons and tons of resources. I never really ran out of anything, and it kind of got to a point where I didn't know what to sell or what to keep in order to manage my inventory better. And it was kind of just a bit of the slower part of the game because it slows down the action every time you have to go to the menu in order to manage your inventory. But other than that, the game is absolutely fantastic. I really recommend it to PS4 owners. If you are looking for a game kind of like Skyrim where you could just switch off and turn off for hours and just enjoy yourself, this is the game for it. It is absolutely fantastic, and go and give it a try. I'll talk to you soon, and take care.